straight out of Krypton. Crazy motherfucker named Jor-El. There's a few comic books that I know well. And you know why they follow me? Cause I talk about games and technology.
And we're live.
Yeah.
Welcome to No Wi-Fi on Kandor, aka the NWK podcast. This is a general podcast. We talk about comics, movies, shows, general technology, and games. A lot of games. I'm here with Jay, the artist and tech enthusiast, and Adam.
Hey, what's
the
up?
fact checker, I guess. I am Greg, the daydreamer and general speculator. I do a lot of speculating without a lot of facts. That's me. And Adam has to reel me in and give me the truth most times. So we're going to start this one off. This is the inaugural podcast, the very first one. And the very first one is, the topic is single player versus multiplayer.
Single player versus multiplayer.
We got into this conversation before. The way that this came up was me and Jay were talking on the phone, and we literally just started. I was venting about some problems I had with games not having multiplayer.
Arkham.
And I'm a huge You guys know I'm a huge. Yeah, we'll get to Arkham. We'll get to Arkham. I don't want to. Because multiplayer. Right. But I'm gonna get I'm gonna go off once we talk about Arkham. My blood's gonna get hot. So we'll leave that one and let the podcast stew a little bit first. Let it get the juices going. But yeah, I've got a couple talking points here. We'll try this format out for now and see how it works. This is the first one. So let's just get into single player and multiplayer by itself, just on its own merit. Do you like one better than the other? The benefits and drawbacks of each. So, anybody want to go first?
Yeah.
Do you like one better than? I'll go first if you want, Jay.
No, you can go. Go ahead. I'll jump in if I have to.
Well, I think it's pretty obvious that that I like multiplayer a lot better than single player.
Considering you never play a single player game.
I don't play single player. Well, there are some exceptions.
Wait.
The main exception being,
when have you actually? When would you? What's your first system? Your first console, starting with? Because I remember you said you used to just watch your father play and stuff. But I mean,
yeah, because I was always on punishment all the damn time. But so I couldn't. But no, when I got to my teens, 13, when the PlayStation first came out, Dreamcast, kind of that time, those first systems, and then it was PlayStation and Xbox. The original Xbox was with the PlayStation 2. Those two releases coincided, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, it was actually PlayStation 2, the original Xbox, and I believe the GameCube were the three that were.
Well, my it's very interesting because my first console was probably the Sega Genesis or something like that. I've had pretty much all of them except I don't think I've ever had I did have a PlayStation 1. But the reason why that's an interesting question is because the reason I like multiplayer is because I have 3 brothers and we grew up together, and we always my mom always made us play together. Now, I lived partially with my mom, partially with my dad, so it was 2 different dynamics depending on which household I was in. But with the multiplayer, I always had to play with my brothers. My mom didn't want one person just playing because there was too many kids, and if you take turns, one playing this game, when you play, what's the rule that you set? Until you die. If one of us is really good at the game. Right. When PlayStation 2 came out, I remember my brother would play this game called The Bouncer, and it was like an RPG, and it was it would just go on and on and on, and it's play until you die, and then we switch. Yeah, but he plays all day, so we just stuck to mainly things that you could do co-op.
It was different. It was more. My brothers and sisters, they were doing their own thing and shit. So for me, it was I was just with my Nintendo starting off with the First Nintendo, I had Mario and Duck Hunt. That was my first game. I would play that all the time, except for my mom wouldn't let me.
I got that console later, the first Nintendo later, after I had already had a PlayStation and stuff, period. And then it got stolen, and then all we could get was a Nintendo, so we went back in time. But sorry, go ahead.
No, but I was able. See, I was able to just play on my own, so I never really had that problem to have to play multiplayer like that. I think. And then I went into the other consoles. But I mean, for the whole multiplayer, like, I understand why you like multiplayer, because you were stuck in that situation, and now that multiplayer is the way it is, that's something you'll never have to do. It's
tailored for me.
Right.
The market is tailored for me. So, like, I never got used to playing alone. So it's kind of boring to me. But we'll get into that in the next talking point. I'll go into the benefits and drawbacks. But one of the reasons why I brought up what system started with, because there was no such, like, for Nintendo and Sega, there really wasn't multiplayer like that. Like me and Adam, like I said, one of our first multiplayer games we played was on Sega, and it was Mrs. Pac-Man.
Yeah.
And we would sit there with two controllers and just play it like crazy. That's all we would play all the time. You remember trying to make all the little baby Pac-Mans?
Yeah, because if you eat them, you got extra points. Yeah.
Okay, Adam. So what about you? What about your first console? And do you like? Oh, well, Jay, real quick, do you like single player, or could you definitively say?
I like both, but if I had to choose, I think I would have to go with single player, and it's because
that's a hard choice.
Well, that's what I'm saying, because of the older consoles and the way they were. That's what I would look for. I would look forward to, like, a single player game that came out and had a great story and would keep me immersed. Like, that's why when PlayStation dropped, I fell in love with Final Fantasy VII. I remember when you used to have to go to the store. You could rent a console. Remember, you could rent the console and the game, and you're trying to beat the entire game in like a day or some shit like that before you had to return it back.
Remember when we rented
Final
Adam, Fantasy? We rented that shit.
Final Fantasy.
We couldn't beat it.
So Adam, like, do you like one better than the other? I think I already know the answer. And also, like, what was your first console?
Well, if I had to pick one, it's probably gonna be single player too. But I'm probably the most in the middle of you guys, because if you look at the games I play now, I almost never play single player games because I'm usually online with you, and like, I mostly get online.
Yeah, right, I can't even start to play a game without Greg. Like, well, jump on multiplayer. I'm like,
yeah, exactly. Like, I get online to play.
Could that just be due to, like, age and getting older and having more responsibility? You just don't have time to.
That's true too. Like, whenever I have time off, that's when
That's part of one of the benefits of multiplayer that I'm gonna get into in the next talking point is, the fact that it's just accessible. You can drop in and drop out. It doesn't require a ton of
if it's designed that way.
A lot of times,
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What about 2K?
Well,
what about 2K?
You guys can refute it.
2K don't take a ton of commitment.
We'll leave. Okay, well, make sure you remember that arguing point to refute what I'm gonna say in this next talking point. But your first console?
My first console, I think, was the Nintendo 2. Like, I remember, I know Jay remembers this. I had fucking Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and we would be on that every day. Like, as soon as we get home from school or whatever, I jump on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and play it with, like, whoever was there. Try to get through as much as we can. So
your first multiplayer experience was the Pac-Man thing with Jay. You would say.
Well, you could play Ninja Turtles but that was like the first one that we played through all the time. Really. Like, we went through the entire game.
I love those games though, like Streets of Rage. I always thought it was so much better when you could, like, Contra.
Tell me why they're still hard. to play. Like you go backwards sometimes. Like I go back, I go retro sometimes, and I get my ass kicked.
Man.
Like
difficult.
I go back and it's like,
those games were meant to be difficult because think
they
about
were meant
there's
to
only
eat
like
your
what 10
quarters.
levels, so you better make that shit hard.
They were stealing your fucking
too.
money when
that
you're in the arcade. Now, but I tell you the truth, if I have to really think hard about multiplayer, I think Nintendo really is the one who pushed it with the Nintendo 64. Because Smash Brothers...
If you're talking about local...
Because that was the first four-player...
If you're talking about local...
That was the first four-player thing.
Multiplayer, I think Nintendo really starts... I'm a Nintendo, just for the record, I'm a Nintendo fanboy. I love Nintendo. Yeah,
that'll become more obvious.
Nintendo...
Sonic's better than Mario. Better than Mario. Sonic's better than Mario.
I know my daughter loves Sonic. I'll be like, no, Mario, just
Continue.
uppercut him and make a couple of coin sounds.
Man, Sonic would shred Mario. Sonic would fly through Mario's worlds like nothing and save the princess in 5 minutes.
Mario could throw his raccoon suit.
Oh God!
Hit him with his tail.
Oh yeah, he has fireballs too. Yeah.
Right.
Anyway.
But.
So we'll get into the N64 on another podcast and just break that all the way down because I believe that was the first, other than the Neo Geo, the actual arcade sticks, that was the first 4-player thing ever. Like the first 4-player console. It never went that high before, which changed the game. GoldenEye, changed the game. So let's get into the benefits and the drawbacks of each. This is where we're gonna see some difference in opinion. So benefits and drawbacks of single player and multiplayer. Anybody who wants to go? Adam?
I think the thing about the single player games that probably me and Jay liked the most and stuff was that RPGs and stuff, and because the RPGs have way better stories than most multiplayer games. You're not gonna get
you just get like immersed in it.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like
you're not gonna get a good narrative in a multiplayer only game.
Yeah, even when they try to go like how we were talking about Fable, how you can jump in or whatever. The whole point of those type of multiplayer games, I like, to me they can't be in the I think they're like in the middle, like in a sweet spot. You have single player, you have those type of multiplayer games, and then you have multiplayer,
which is co-op. But see, to me, that's one of the things I wrote in my notes was when we say multiplayer, everyone assumes something like PUBG or Call of Duty that's like so multiplayer centric. But what about something like Gears of War? You know what I mean? True. What about something that's like
but that has
the
single
story
player
is
campaign
just as immersive.
Too.
Well, tell you the truth,
right?
Call of Duty,
well, I'm not. This isn't
has had some really good stories and had multiplayer.
Yeah, but we're not arguing strictly single player versus strictly multiplayer. Like I would never argue for let's make everything only multiplayer where you can't go by yourself.
You just want multiplayer in every
Gears
game.
Of War. Yeah, and I to me, my opinion, I just think multiplayer is just, to me, it's better. But when I hear you guys' arguments, I do understand. I'm just a different person. I think it has a lot to do. I think it has a lot to do with how you grew up. Honestly, when I talk to people about it, I think how you grew up and what your siblings did, that really.
Well, yeah, because I mean,
if
if it was your way to escape everything, and you was stuck there playing on your own, then that's how it's gonna be. You know what I'm saying? But
games were huge for most of us.
Yeah, it was like,
anyway,
and for me, it was like, it was rare because my mom never let us play. I think as I got older, you know how you get older and you're like, well, shoot, she never let me have this, or I couldn't have that. I'm having that shit now. That's how it is with games. I play as long as I want and as much as I want. Because back then, man, she only let me play for a half an hour. By the time I hook up the fucking console, I'm taking it back apart to put it away and shit.
Yeah, so it is specific to somewhat to how you grew up. But for me, the one of the biggest drawbacks for me is about single player games is the AI. It's just, to me, it never equates to a human player. It's just, to me, it has never been as fun as going against a human player.
Yeah.
And we've had this conversation, Jay, going into AI, which we'll get into another time.
Yeah.
About so you play something like what was the one Call of Duty, Black Ops 2, right? Where you can have bots. So you go in there, you play the same exact match against bots, but you set it to rookie or easy mode or medium, and it's like you can easily just find an exploit, and it's like you're gonna go 30-5. You know what I mean?
Right.
You only die when you start to get bored, and then you put it on hard or extreme, and then it's like they're like fucking super robots, and as soon as you walk behind them, it's like they sense your presence, like
they kind of
whip around and headshot you with the damn pistol from 60 yards away.
And I do agree with that, because I think as single players, as multiplayer was really coming in and single player games are still being developed, I think the AI itself kind of just didn't keep up with it. So, that's why doing something like that. And so, when you go on multiplayer and you're online, you can't predict what somebody's going to do. It's always random. It's never the same. So, the excitement for that is definitely something. But like I was saying, though, in what was it, Infinity Warfare, like, I was surprised, because I've heard, I would have to definitely really look into it and make sure that it's a fact, but I've heard that when the developers were making the AI for those bots, they actually used people, the gameplay from people who were in competitions, and then they used that. So when you play against the bots, it's unpredictable. And when I played it, I tried it, they were doing things that I've never seen them do in any of the other games. And even though it wasn't
still
as fun, but it's getting there, though. It's starting to catch up.
I don't know if I believe that it will ever be equal. Like, well, Adam, what do you think?
It'll get better. They'll be too good. I mean, the reason.
Okay, so Adam, what's your take on? Oh, sorry, I interrupted you.
I mean, the reason why AI is usually so dumb is because they're too good. They make them dumb so that you can beat them. Like.
Yeah, but that's the problem. Like, what's the sweet spot? Because once you ratchet the difficulty up too much, then it's like
then they have God mode.
It's like then it becomes a game of how do I exploit. It's not like, okay, who's the better skill? It's like now I just have to find where the weakness is in this AI's movements and its patterns,
like, rather than just being. Where it's like, if I go in this room and I post up, they're gonna constantly run through this one fucking door.
Yeah.
And I can just sit there all day and just and not cap their ass.
It's not that AI is dumb. It's not that, because you can make it impossible. Look, see Dark Souls. You can make it impossible, but that's not fun either to me.
But, well, I guess in cases like that, though, that's part of the fun of the single player game, is like it's a puzzle, like specifically like how you're mentioning Dark Souls or something, or like I've been playing Darksiders War Mastered again, and you're fighting enemies and they have like tells, like, oh, he lifted his hand, so he lifted his axe behind his head instead of to the side, so he's going to do an overhead attack. So that's part of like the fun of playing the battle.
Which Adam, since like, see, and in that case, with a multiplayer game, it's like, okay, you're most likely, I can predict this and this is what's going to happen. But even with a single player game, when like, okay, yeah, he's getting ready to do this, I think you still can get hit with it. You can still, it still has a, I don't know how to say it. Like, it still has a type of element to it where, it's not
unpredictability.
Like,
it's not always ultra predictable. Like, I know that, but I'm just saying it's just something different. So, Adam, what's your what? Is there anything you can say about like single player AI that's good about it? You know what I mean? Or like,
Yeah.
Like, what's your take on single player AI? Is it fine? Is it like, I don't mind? Like
Yeah, I don't mind
have
it.
you played
It's
any
like
games that were
most of the time, like when you're playing, like we're also talking about like combat games right now, because we're all combat focused players. But there are games where you're like, you're a single player and you're just traveling through a story, or maybe you have a companion with you that has to follow you, but you have to protect them,
or something like Uncharted?
Well, Uncharted is another combat game, but I'm talking about like,
really.
or even like the
Oh,
Telltale
it is?
games
Okay.
or something.
I've never played it. I don't have a PlayStation.
Yeah, if you're playing something that's more narrative focused,
or a platformer.
Yeah, something.
I've always hated platformers. I can't stand platformers. I never saw the point of it.
Yeah, well,
Except Sonic is the only platformer.
I was gonna say,
really
what
ever
about
liked.
Sonic?
See, like,
But when you were young, you had no choice. Now I really still I wouldn't play Sonic like, I just like the character.
I still do it just for, I don't know, just I guess to just go back for a little and just to have a little fun real quick. I don't think it's something I'm just like, oh my god, I gotta play this every day, like. But every once in a while. But another single player thing I wanted to do, like just to like a little away from the AI, but just why I like single players better is because I think there's just certain things about it that you can't have in a multiplayer game. And like for example is like Tomb Raider. Tomb Raider and other games like it, you have to solve puzzles. In a multiplayer game,
true.
like you're running around, you're doing there's an objective and you're completing it. But with a game like Tomb Raider and stuff, it's meant to take your time to explore. And I love games that have puzzles and riddles and all types of stuff like God of War and Tomb Raider for one, and then even like Resident Evil, where you have to solve puzzles and stuff in order to advance.
So what you're saying, that's a good argument in favor of what you guys are saying, because multiplayer, playing with other people, especially if it's like let's say it was something like Tomb Raider but online with 16 people on a server, like people could really fuck that game up for you.
Yeah,
exactly.
People could really make it not fun, like, and just troll.
Exactly.
People can ruin your experience. So I do understand that side of it.
Especially if it's a narrative focused thing. Like if you're playing a game where you have some sort of romantic interest or something, and then something happens and oh no, she just got shot, she's dying, and then your friend is up there like humping her corpse or jumping up and down,
like doing something stupid.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Or there's plenty of games that you will play, and then exactly that somebody is you're trying to be serious and somebody else on your team is just doing something dumb. So it's like with a single player game, you never have to worry about that. Because you're in control of everything. I
mean,
right. So you can be as immersed as you want to be.
One of the perfect examples of this that I can think of is we all played DC Universe Online, and we like that game.
Right.
But I'm a big comic book guy.
I do too.
I like DC characters, so I actually wanted to listen and read all the dialogue and listen to the audio clips and stuff like that. But you guys are like, hey, okay, on to the next mission. Hey, it's this way. The arrow's pointing this way. Let's go, guys. And I'm like, crap, I wanted to listen to that audio dialogue,
Yeah,
and you're always running around collecting all the little green question marks, like, oh, look, here's a tidbit. And I'm just already flying away.
Yeah, it kind of...
Which is probably why that type of, starting off like Mario, being the player that just runs through it versus the player who gets all the coins. They as
right.
evolve.
Yeah, I'm a big completionist.
Yeah, see, I'm not though. It depends though. Like, I talking about completionist. you remember what happened when the first time I played Mass Effect? You remember the first time I played Mass Effect, Adam? You remember what happened?
The ending.
Remember? Yeah. So Adam tells me, all right, so the one game I played all the way through, the one modern single player game that I played all the way through that was single player was Mass Effect. Only reason why I play it, you guys both know, the only reason why I played it was because my internet was out, and I had the 360 at the time, and I was asking Adam, like, hey, like, I'm bored as hell. I need something to do. Like, I only have multiplayer games. I only have stuff that I can play online, and I'm like, I need something to eat up a chunk of time because my internet was going to be off for like 3-4 weeks. So I was like, and he said, play Mass Effect. I'm like, Mass Effect?
The game is so
He's
good.
like, it's space, and I'm like, oh, I like space.
Mass Effect is dope.
So I tried it, and I loved it, and I went all the way through. But like you were saying, I'm not a completionist. I'm such a multiplayer guy. Like, I have a short attention span for things, so I didn't do all the side missions, and that's how you did stuff like armor up your ship. That's how you did the side missions.
Yeah,
and
you get
it was
and everything.
So So it's like when you get to the end, this crisis happens, and it's like, well, if you did all these side missions you were supposed to do, then this person lives. This
like
person
the type
lives.
of person
Forget spoilers. It's the first Mass Effect. If you're spoiled by that, you're behind.
I know.
I don't care.
Just saying.
See, he's
I don't
like
know
the
what
type
you're
of
doing.
person that, like, as soon as we get to like the end of a level where me and Adam are powered up and shit, and Greg's like just all beginner shit, and still has everything.
But the funny thing that happened was because I didn't do any of the side missions or do any, like, I left so much stuff on the table that literally everybody just died. Like, everybody died, even me. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, how I die too? I'm like.
Playing that game was to make sure everybody lived.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. But I didn't know. I didn't read anything.
I
didn't read into anything. I'm just like, oh, we can just play this and it'll be all good. And it's like, nope, this person you cared about got lasered in half because you didn't put no damn shields.
That's missing. So then it's like that's missing the entire purpose of playing a game like Mass Effect. Like when I was playing God of War, I was upset because I remember I was telling you I was upset the fact that they didn't force me to do side missions. I can do the whole main story and then go back and do side missions. I don't like that. I like to be forced, to have to go, like, okay, in order to get into this door, you got to get a key. Well, I got to do this whole other fucking mission, whole side mission to finally get the key to come all the way the fuck back somewhere else to open the door just to do something else.
I don't like to be forced.
That's what I like. You know what I'm saying?
I like it when they give you the choice, but they incentivize you.
He just lays there and accepts it.
Incentivizing, yeah. There's all different types of ways, but that's the fundamental difference between me as a gamer and you guys as a gamer. Because obviously, I ran through it like I'm thinking just quick enjoyment. Like, even though I didn't skip the cutscenes and stuff like that. I'm not sure if you could, but I enjoyed the cutscenes and stuff. But the side missions, it's like, I don't know. It just, my brain just doesn't think like that.
Yeah, see, I'm the guy.
I thought it was going to be.
I just said, like, because to me,
I was pissed when everybody died. I was pissed. I was so mad. Like, what? This is how it ends? It's like, yeah, you kind of control the ending, Greg. And I'm like, fuck. So that's why nowadays, like, the newer Mass Effect after that, I was like, all right, let me make sure I do what I'm supposed to do.
Speaking of Mass Effect, the multiplayer was fun, though. Even though it was just a little thrown together.
I'm going to get to that argument later.
It was actually fun.
One of my questions is one of my talking points is no excuse for no multiplayer mode. We're going to come up to that. So let's go ahead. We got the benefits and drawbacks. Did we get through it all? What's some of the things you don't like about multiplayer? Obviously, we already said someone can ruin the experience.
Yeah, I think
you got
it's
lag.
ruining. I think it's mainly somebody ruining the experience for you. You know what I'm saying? Just people standing there. Like, if you're gonna eat a sandwich, get the fuck out the game and go eat something.
Right.
Don't stand there and then.
Or one of the things that.
And shit.
One of the things that me and Adam deal with all the time and lament is the fact, like, we play 2K a lot. You don't play 2K, but we play 2K a lot. And the mode that we play, we depend on teammates. And even like Gears of War Online or like Call of Duty or something, we depend on teammates. So if you get a shitty teammate, it's just the worst experience ever. Like, it's like, I could be doing everything in the world, so I do understand that point too.
That's how I feel when I'm playing a game. Like, even though with Ghost Recon, with Wildlands, you have AI, I won't even play it like that. If my wife and Rob's not on playing with me, then I won't even play the game by itself. And that's the reason why I love that game, because when we're on it, that's what I was trying to get you guys to get
So
when
to
you're
me,
on it, you have to rely on the other person.
The way I look at multiplayer is like you said, there's so much potential for bad because other people can ruin it, but also at the same time, other people can elevate the experience by so much. Like, remember when we played Defiance?
Yeah.
Remember when we were just randomly walking along doing our missions, and then an arc fall happens, and you got 60 people trying to just defeat and just random stuff that you could never have tried to program into a game, and just all these people with all these different powers, and you got low levels that's barely doing anything, but just I'm helping out. You know what I'm saying? I'm doing my part.
I think
and
one of the best
really,
examples of how multiplayer brings stuff like that is when we were playing Grand Theft Auto Online.
GTA,
like the random ass, yes,
I have, I wrote that in my notes.
The random ass stuff.
That to me, that's just
like, hey, what's what's the brakes on the motorcycle?
That was classic.
They were like, press Y.
Classic.
I fell right off
so basically, we on Grand Theft Auto 4, we were on with like 8 of us, and we went and smashed this window out and grabbed all these bikes, all these motorcycles, and there was this big jump that we always do, and it was Jay's first time playing with us, so we're all driving fast as hell down this street, and it's a little skinny alley that you need to get through to jump to hit the jump. And Jay was going a little too fast. He's like, what's the brake button? And Yusuf's stupid ass. Yusuf's like, why? And and he flies off the bike and we all hit the jump, and he just flies into the wall and just splatters his brains and just wasted. It's over.
See, that's fun when you have a group of people that are just, everybody's having fun, everybody's doing their thing. Yeah. But when I jump into a game, and and I'm standing there just doing something, and somebody just killing me all the time, just hunting me down for no fucking reason. It makes me not even want to jump on no more. I'm like, you know what? I'm done. I'm not even playing
good.
This. You know, I mean, you could get good and start hunting them back, but I mean, it's not gonna. It's defeats the purpose of why I got on there. Now I'm just going back and forth with this one guy all fucking day.
But to me, I get it. But to me, the benefits of that unpredictability is so satisfying that I will deal with all the extra bullshit that multiplayer brings. The lag, the trying to get into a lobby and it won't get in, and we can't connect to each other. And
half an hour of setup in 2K.
Adam.
Oh my god! Oh, the old 2Ks were so bad.
Hey, Adam, you remember? Now I know we talked about single player and then sometimes AI, but you know what? And Adam will tell you the original Fable when it was being made. If it would have really, I think if that game was really would have released the way it was supposed to be,
when it was still called Project Ego,
it would have advanced. Yeah, yep. It would have really advanced single player games, especially AI, because I mean they was talking about that they would have like a whole town, and you're the hero, and you're supposed to get to the town and defeat like a giant or a troll or something that's outside the town. Instead, they were getting there, and they found that the town people picked somebody from the town, and they went out and killed the troll before you even got there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It was that smart. The AI was like, they were like, screw it. We don't even need the hero. Let's just go take care of everything.
That's crazy.
But and they're talking about like if somebody stole from you and you cut their hand off and you went back there, you'll see the person as an adult with their hand cut, or if you cut trees down. And
that's dope. I like that kind of thing. But my issue is, I would love to do that just with someone else, just with one of my friends. And we're gonna get into that later with the just multiplayer mode in general. I'm gonna get into that. So we got the benefits, we got the drawbacks, mostly out of the way. Anything else you guys want to say about that?
No, I think.
Well,
for me, I think
just to give a little more drawbacks. There's also you have to pay more money, like if you're playing on multiplayer games.
Microtransactions.
Not even microtransactions, that too. But I just meant I gotta pay for gold, I gotta pay for the internet, I gotta keep up,
I can just jump on a single player game. I don't have to worry about nothing.
Yeah, there's more updates, and then there's stuff like this, which I know you're gonna feel this too. We both like that MOBA game that came out, and it was great.
Gigantic?
Oh, I didn't even think about Gigantic. I was thinking about.
Oh, you're talking about Battleborn.
Battleborn, yeah. Battleborn was dope, but because it didn't get the
community, yeah.
Because it didn't get the support.
That's something on the link.
Yeah, it's like
the article that I researched.
Yeah, they came out at the wrong time.
Podcast that
you know, they got Overwatch took the crown, and that game slowly started dying, and it's it's a fun game. We try to get Jay in on it, but if the servers turn off, that's it. You're done. There's also other multiplayer games that are just you can't play them anymore because they were online based. They shut down that server. That's it. You ain't playing that game anymore, no matter how much you liked it.
Yeah, and that's something on the article that I researched for this podcast. I'm gonna put the this article link so you guys can read it up with the podcast. But yeah, they touched on that a multiplayer is like big multiplayer, like not in the sense of co-op, just like one and a friend, but large multiplayer games are so dependent on the community. So if everyone stops playing Call of Duty World War II right now, like online is going to be garbage.
Another thing too is I don't see why some multiplayer games cost just as much as a single player game. Like
strictly
Overwatch.
Multiplayer.
Yeah, strictly multiplayer where I can't do anything else. Okay, if I'm paying $60, I want to play. Okay, like Battlefield. Battlefield is like okay, I can. It's multiplayer, but there's a little campaign that I can play, so it's fine. $60, but like Overwatch, strictly multiplayer. I was like, I don't know if I want to pay $40. $40, $45.
I can't argue with that.
On it, but I don't know about 60. I think strictly multiplayer games should be cheaper.
Yeah.
But you guys, going to my point about the servers dying, you remember what was so painful when it died?
Which one?
Red Faction Guerrilla.
I was just thinking about that. I was waiting.
Red Faction. I still
think that was one of the most underrated games ever. People just don't know.
Supposedly they're gonna re-release it.
I should say because
I wish they do, and I wish they remaster it and everything. I wish.
But here's the problem.
Jumps on that shit because that
here's the problem. Cool. Will it be the same experience if no one gets on? If not a lot of people buy it, and it's hard to get a game started.
But if there's people okay, you said it was underrated and stuff like that. So it's like okay, it didn't have a huge fan, but I still think there was enough out there, especially since the second one was garbage. Yeah. The second game was garbage. I didn't like it.
I get you, but remember, even when we decided to go back and try to play it, the servers
you just
were
need
dead.
enough
we had
people
it,
to play against.
But that's because everybody moved on.
But that's my point. I'm making your single player argument for you. Once the server dies, that's it. Once people stop playing it,
dishes are done.
It's dependent on the community.
But then at the same time, it's crazy too but at the same time, multiplayer. There's so much multiplayer. There's always something next to jump to, so it really doesn't bother people like that.
It bothers.
I mean, if you want to go back, if you want to go back, you're on your own. Like if I jump on the DC universe now, I'm pretty much flying around solo around the city. Like might be a couple of people, but I'm just doing my thing basically. But but as far as multiplayer, there's a lot. There's always a lot. And then, we're starting to see, like we and Adam were talking about last time, like a lot of Japanese games. I was like, where's the horror games? Where's, Silent Hill and all that and stuff like that? And they're starting to decline. And I think it's because a lot of people are saying, you know what, we want to make some money, we want to make a quick buck, we're going multiplayer.
And that's another talking point that I have, that it's what the market demands right now.
Yeah, it is.
But we'll get to that.
It is,
but okay, so on to the next talking point.
On to the next.
It's a two-parter. What makes a good single-player game? What makes a good multiplayer game? So we'll do single-player first, and then we'll go to multiplayer. Because none of us, just to let you guys know, none of us are anti-single player or anti-multiplayer. Like, I don't play single player games, but I'm not anti. And we all play. We're just weighing them.
I'm probably the one who plays the most of.
But we all play. We all play both. Yeah, I just played less multi. Yeah, Adam's more in the middle. I play more. I'm more multiplayer heavy. Jay's more single player heavy. Adam's more in the middle. But okay, so what makes a good single player game?
Have something really. Well, I think one of the things, and we kind of talked about it already, was the fact that with you're being able to, because you're on your own, they have to get you like immersed in the story and everything like that, but they have to give you more to do, so you're not just bored. So I think with single player games, especially like adventure games, like I wanted to play. I was looking at The Last of Us 2 when E3 was going on, and that looked real good. It just saw off the trailer that they were showing, off the little gameplay. It looked like I would have fun, trying to hide from the environment and from the people in the environment and everything. Like I can have fun doing that. I can sit for hours just doing that shit. I don't need to be.
I can eat a peach for hours.
I can.
Peach, I can eat a
But in your opinion, Jay, what makes a good single player game? What is the qualities that makes a good single player game?
Well, I think a single player game, if I have to because I can say story and everything like that, but I'll have to say graphics are better to me in single player games versus multiplayer games.
Well, no, I'm not asking
they can focus more.
I'm not asking I'm asking just by itself. When you're going to buy a single player game, what are you looking for in a single player game? Because there's shitty single player games too. What makes a good single player game?
Well, first off, I'm looking for who made it. Because there's been, of course, you can't say, Squaresoft makes all best RPG. There's some games that are not good, but I usually. So
you're looking for a good story, obviously.
Yeah, who made it? How long the game is.
So longer the better. I don't want
to buy a game. Yeah, if I can be really immersed in it, and if I can, and as I'm playing the game. One of the things for me with single players that really seals the deal is how customizable is it? Like, can I do all types of armor? Like, can I actually create my character to the way I want it? Change the hair color, face, clothes, male, female.
That's something that multiplayer is really good at.
Yeah, multiplayer. I noticed they started doing that. That's what kind of draws me to it. Like, whenever I hear, you can add all types of shit to your guns and stuff, I'm like, oh, shit, dope. Mm-hmm. Because if it's something that's going to keep me busy, if it's something that I can play with, I'm going to go for it. But I think, when at least for a game single player, when it comes to that, if I know that I'm constantly going to upgrade, I'm constantly, like God of War. When I was playing that, there was one part where I kept going to this one area just to get the material I needed to get this certain armor, and I must have been in there for at least 2-3 hours trying to get everything I needed to get that armor. Because
so you kind of want something to eat up your time in a way.
Yeah, if it's all about getting armor and just like working on my character, I'll do it. That's one of the things I enjoy.
So that's really going RPG route. So you're probably not
are deep into that type of stuff, even though multiplayers have it.
So you're not gonna really be inclined to play a shooter single player,
if it's
shooter
a shooter
or something.
And it's like, okay, I can add camouflage. Okay, cool, that's dope. But if it's a shooter where it's like I can change, the barrel and the trigger and how long the clip is, if I could really get in the gun.
So you like customizability?
Yeah, I love customization. That's gonna sell me. Period.
Yeah, I'm not gonna go that route. I'm not gonna try that word. Customization. You like that? But here's the question I have. You said that you still would play platformers and things of that nature. So if it's just something like, let's say Mario, like the Nintendo Switch, right? You have the Switch. you might jump on a Mario game or something. I'm not sure if they came out with a new Mario platformer or something, but if they did, I'm sure you would play it.
Yeah.
So what makes that good then? What makes that? Because you can't customize.
Mario Odyssey, like playing Mario Odyssey, for example, is just the love for that is just because I loved Mario 64. When Mario 64 came out, it changed everything. You know.
But what about it? Do you like though? Because it's like I said, you said you love the customization, but something like Breath of the Wild. What's the Zelda?
Well, shit.
The Zelda on
Talking
Switch.
About that,
you can't
Zelda,
you can't customize too much on that, right? You can't like change your face.
You
and change
really
your hair.
can't go too crazy. Like you can just get an armor set and stuff like that.
So
but
what makes that game good?
Well, for one, it's Zelda.
Right, but you can't just say that. That's such a cop out. Like it has to be a reason why something like that is good.
Well, it's actually for the first time it's like more of an open world for Zelda.
This is why you should be playing Skyrim.
Like, I know. One of my favorite other Zelda games was a Wind Waker, and it was because you get to go on a boat and sail. Sometimes, I know it sounds crazy because it's like, okay, you like doing all this stuff, and then how when it comes to a game like that, when it's just kind of simple and whatever, how can that? And I think it's mainly because it's just something a little bit different. You know, the fact that, okay, yeah, it's nothing too crazy, but I can go on a boat and sail to other islands. That's what had me in a Wind Waker. And I like the art.
Played The Witcher.
Since I like to draw and everything too and stuff like that, I liked.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. It does look nice. I like the cell shading.
It looked really nice. Yeah, I really liked that. So it looked nice.
So,
Adam, did you ever try The Witcher, Jay?
No, but I really
you probably would love it.
I just been waiting for I want to get it for the.
It goes on sale a lot. It's like $20 not too long ago.
I gotta grab it. It's just every time it's like we were talking. Every time I want to grab, like I was telling Greg one time, we have a whole list. Like me and you have a whole list of single player games that we like. Oh, I gotta get this. I gotta get this. But when it comes down to it, we spend our money on multiplayer games.
And one of the reasons why is because you said a good single player game is supposed to take up your time, and we're getting older, and you guys have less time, you have more responsibility, so it's more enticing to just you can only play in 30-minute, 1-hour chunks, maybe,
Right.
So
sometimes I look at the clock and I'm like, shit. Let me.
And plus, we all live far away from each other. We live far away. I'm in London. He's an hour away from you. Adam's an hour away from you.
This is our communication.
Yeah. Like, so also, that's a thing too, and that's another thing that I love about multiplayer. But to get to you, Adam, to you, what makes a good single player game?
Are you talking to now me?
Adam?
Yeah.
I said Adam? I believe I said Adam.
I thought you said
I didn't say Jay like 30 times like I did earlier.
Jay, you go over there. And then Jay, you come over here. And Jay, you attack that point.
What do I do?
I like games like with big open worlds. Open world is probably my favorite genre. Like I play the most open world games, and they're like I play open world RPGs and open world action games, and even when I'm playing 2D games and stuff, I like the Metroidvania type games, which are like sort of or open world too.
I actually did. I messed with Metroid heavy growing up. I really liked it. But
Metroid,
that was before.
Yes.
That was when I didn't have a choice to play multiplayer.
You should play like Shadow Complex and stuff like that.
Okay, so you like open world, but what makes a single player game good to you? Like
story mostly.
Is it the
Stories
immersion?
usually?
Yes.
Yeah, I like.
So
see,
is it
I am the one who is the most secluded out of us. I'm the one who likes to be on my own. I would play.
Except when we're playing multiplayer, you're the greatest teammate ever.
It's kind of funny that
Yeah.
I'm the one who has no social media, I don't call people. You guys got to call me, But if you pop on, then I'm gonna stop whatever I'm doing and play with you guys,
Yeah.
And the thing is, we play so good too. It's like we'll know, like all right, I've been talking about Black Ops 4, like, oh, we're gonna jump on and everything. Like, it's because I know, like, I want to hit that game hardcore, but I need a squad, and I already know that. Oh, I know how Greg plays, I know how Adam plays. I don't have to worry about getting flanked or any of this. Like, it's fun, to jump on and, like, man, he's good at sniping and he's good at doing this and stuff. So it's like there used to be times where I was sneaking, about to kill somebody, and all of a sudden, pow! Like, I hear a sniper rifle go off, and Adam's like,
it was Adam. And
he about to kill me, and I'm like, oh shit! And especially Adam and Rob, when they were both on, pow, pow, pow.
Yeah.
Okay, so but you were
Modern
getting to
Warfare
your point
3 days.
You were getting to your point about that you're the most secluded, and
especially like probably going back to what you were saying about being the way you're growing up. I didn't have a lot of anything when I was growing up. So when I got a game, it's like, well, I'm going to get this one game, probably the only game I'm going to play for the whole year. So am I going to buy a platformer or something where I could beat it in 2 or 3 hours? Or am I going to buy this RPG that I can play for 60 hours and then once I beat it, play it again in a different way, So
so obviously length is important to you.
Whoa.
Do a slight pause. A slight pause there.
Not girth. Length.
Just do a slight pause there. But so the length of the story, so that's similar to Jay. I
would say
single player people.
Yeah,
are made
I would
up
say
of
it used to be,
stuff.
but I don't get to play as much as I used to. But I like. The thing about open world games specifically too is, like, when you play those games, it really immersive, like Jay was saying before, like the fleshing out an entire world, an entire lore. It's also one of the things that I like about MMOs and stuff sometimes is you're walking around and then you go into a house and then you see something on the ground and you're like, oh wow, this shows that somebody was living here or something. Or, like, especially you guys don't play games like Skyrim and Fallout like I do, but you'll go into a place and it has nothing to do with the story you're doing, nothing to do with the quest.
Fallout.
76.
The new Fallout.
As soon as it went multiplayer, I'm like, I'm all in.
But in the single player game, like I was telling my brother-in-law this, I remember going into a cave in Skyrim. I was walking past a cave and I saw it and I was like, you know what, let me just check what's in there. I walked in and I found like a letter and I started reading the books, and it was talking about 2 guys who sunk all their money into buying a mine. And they was like, oh, they think there's going to be gold in here, and they were losing hope because they couldn't find gold. And then there was like some betrayal or something, and they just never found the gold. But because of something in the letter, like, it suggested that there could be something behind a wall or something. And I went further in, and there was like some kind of crack, and you walked into the crack, and then there was gold everywhere, and you could mine it, and it has nothing to do with the story, it has nothing to do with the side quest, it is just there. And if I didn't read that book, I wouldn't have found it, but because I read it, I found the gold, like, I mined it, I had a whole bunch of money, and it allowed me to get better weapons and stuff.
Just exploring, I
know
able to explore.
Fallout is like, you told me some crazy stuff about Fallout, which is why I always liked it. But I'm like, one of the things that stops me from playing single player games is the fact that I know like with Arkham, right? Me and you, we game share, Adam. So I got Arkham when you got Arkham, but I'm not going there yet. I'm gonna save that. But when I got it, I was like, you know what? I'll play it, and it was good. It's not like I'm like, oh, this sucks. My attention span is just so low that I'm just, after like 10 minutes, and it's like, once I can't find an objective, it's like, where is this? Like, I can't find the waypoint for this. Where the fuck am I supposed to go? And then it's like, I can't do it. I just get bored, and I'm like, all right, I'm turning it off. I'm turning on something else. And the thing that bothers, that's scary for me, is spending $60, or for me, I'm in London, so £60
getting stuck
on a game. is just and
bro,
not
there's
playing
the internet now. You never heard of YouTube?
I know.
Get a walk.
I know. No.
Strategy guides and shit. Niggas used to have to go to the store and try to sneak in the strategy.
I think even with that, I still think I would just end up just trailing off or just staring off into space. When there's no other human interaction for me, like that communication. Like, when's the last time you see me play Xbox without a mic? How many times, Jay, you've gone without a mic for a couple weeks? Adam, you've gone without a mic for a couple weeks. I never go without a mic. Because I have to interact.
Right, like
that's a huge part of gaming.
For me. I don't like it.
Yeah, see,
I'm like, damn, I need to get a mic. Even if I shoot out and get a $5 mic.
I don't. I'll make something. I'll call you on the phone and talk on the phone. We've done that too.
right. Yeah, we've done that. We find
but
ways.
for me, I'll go to me now. What makes
for me? It's like it doesn't even. For me, it's like.
Sorry.
Sometimes it doesn't even matter if I have a mic because I'll be in the party just
you don't
quiet.
Say shit anyway.
You know, like
you don't say nothing anyway.
Right.
You guys will forget, like, oh wait, is Adam's mic broken?
I'm better than you.
Hey, yo, that is something. Adam won't say nothing for a whole 10 minutes, and it's like, yeah, you're a scrub. You're not better than me. I'm better than you. And you just see the guy die. It's like, well, yeah, technically he's not wrong, so I mean, you can't say anything. But so I'll do it for me. What makes a good single player game? I'll do a disclaimer. I have very little experience with this guy, so I'll try to keep it short and sweet. Mass Effect, since that's the only one I played. No, I played a little bit of Arkham here and there. I played like a couple things by myself, but for me, what kept me in Mass Effect was the fact that it was in space, and the fact that you could go to other planets. You could go, like, move throughout the galaxy. And I like the fact that you, especially on the first Mass Effect, you could literally, the second one they took it out, I believe. Or was it the second one? One of them, you could actually go to, like, Pluto or, Jupiter or whatever, and actually drop down onto the planet if you could.
That was the first one.
It was habitable or whatever, and you could drop down and explore, and you could actually drive around and see the plant life and whatever was there and the atmosphere. That was dope. And so it was kind of because I'm biased to sci-fi, but also nothing felt the same. Nothing else felt the same though. Like that sounds dumb, but when I had one battle with one guy, it felt different than when I went and did this mission. The AI didn't seem the same over and over again. It wasn't the same mission over and over. They took a lot of time with making every piece of scenery look different. Every conversation was different.
If you were gonna play like No Man's Sky, because I think that's supposed to be at least what I hear, it's supposed to be like you explore and there's different things.
Well, he didn't care until he heard that they gonna add multiplayer.
Yeah, once they said, it's gonna be multiplayer, but you can never play with your friends. I'm like, what?
Multiplayer, but you can. Yeah, I think you just randomly run into people, and it's like,
it's like, but you can never play with your friends. Like, get that.
It's like, hey, you discovered the same thing.
Why would I want to play with a random person over my friends or my family members? That's stupid. But
I mean,
the reason why I said no to No Man's Sky,
that's what multiplayer is supposed to be, but it's not that.
The reason why I'm not getting No Man's Sky is not because of how good it's gonna be. It's just because of my situation with work, school, and I don't want to invest in something and buy something that I don't know if I'm gonna have the time to play. So that's a part of it too for me right now. But okay, so we got that out of the way. What makes a good multiplayer game? Adam, I'll start with you since I keep starting with Jay every time, like he's somehow more important.
What makes a good multiplayer game? Matchmaking.
Yeah, in your opinion. Matchmaking.
Lobby system. Like you need.
Oh, you remember Far Cry?
Oh yeah.
It was so good. Remember, was it Far Cry 2? It was so good, but it was hard we couldn't join the lobby together. We had to join individually. I totally
that's
agree
like
with you.
One of the things stopping
it was hard
us
to get
from
on the same
GTA
team.
Online right now.
Yes.
Yeah, that was stupid.
We can't join each other. It's so difficult to join each other. But hey, we had some. Remember what I did with Far Cry 2? I bought both of these guys. Matter of fact, I bought like 5 people. I was so hype about. I was so
friends.
just a small caveat. I don't want to get off track, but I was so hyped for Fallout, Far Cry 2. It was 2, right? Yeah, Far Cry 2. I was so hyped before it came out because I seen the map editor, and I was like, oh my god, because I played Halo Forge a lot, and I used to make maps on Forge, and I'm like, oh my god, this is like the next level, bro. Like, oh my god. And I was talking to you guys, and I was talking to Rob, and I was talking to everybody. Like, I was like, "Hey, are you guys gonna get Far Cry when it comes out?" You're like, "I don't know." Huh? I'm like, "Fuck that! I'm buying the shit. I'm shipping it to your house. You have no choice but to play with me." This is
then
not.
you made
this
that
is not,
map, and it was like number 1 for a while.
Yeah, that was Dogtown.
Yeah, that map was actually.
If
good.
anybody ever played on Dogtown, let me know. I made that map. Yeah, it was a good map. But anyway, back to you, Adam. What makes a good multiplayer game? Lobby system.
Lobby system matchmaking. You need to have good connections. Dedicated servers are great because it's so annoying when you're trying to get into a game. It takes you 15 minutes to get into a match, and then 2 minutes in you get dropped for something. That's annoying.
The worst was 2K by far.
When I say
what
still
makes
the worst. 2K is still the worst. I can't believe we play that game so much. It is so it's so
if
annoying.
I'm gonna ask myself the question, what makes a good multiplayer game? The best answer would be whatever is the opposite of what 2K does with their servers. Whatever's the opposite of that is excellent because.
What's that EA?
And think about it, where 2K is now, Jason. You don't know because. I said drop the name. Well, I guess everyone knows he's Jason now. But
it's all good. It's all good.
So, what you don't know because you don't play 2K, but this new 2K server is like, wow, this is the best working one, and it's still shitty. It's still terrible, and it's by far the best one. Dude,
game.
we used to get on 2K16, 2K15, and we used to get into lobbies and literally wait for hours for a game. Like sometimes we literally wait for like an hour plus for a game to start, and then something might happen, and sometimes you couldn't even get into the match. Like you couldn't. It was just so bad. But yeah, servers and dedicated servers are good, but not the kind of dedicated servers 2K has. Definitely not that. Any other pointers? Any other?
I like also variety and stuff. I like when you can play multiple maps or objectives and stuff. Especially, I know Jay probably appreciates it a lot too. Because for instance, if I'm playing Call of Duty and stuff, I usually just stick to team deathmatch. But I know when you play Jay or when you play Greg, you usually want to play like domination or some other kind of war, something else.
Yeah, like capture the flag or something.
Yeah,
because then people can't fucking camp. If you're a camper, unsubscribe now. Just go away.
Oh shit, we just lost Rob.
Fuck campers.
We just lost Rob.
Oh shit.
All right, sorry, Rob.
Come back, Rob.
We need Rob because he's a beast.
We need you to fly the helicopter.
Rob is a monster.
Helicopter is good for that too.
Bro, Rob is a wait. He's good for anything. Rob is a monster at it. Literally, I bet we could give him 2K and give him a month with 2K, and he never played basketball a day in his life.
That's why we call him the Asian persuasion.
Yeah, this guy will persuade you to not be better than him. Dude's nasty.
One of the things I hate doing too is like, oh, he's like, hey, you want to play a multiplayer game with me? And I say, oh, all right, I jump on. He's like a gazillion times like level is like way higher than yours, and it's like
that's another problem.
He stays right behind you and he shoots one time. I'm like, nah, man, you better create a whole new character.
That's another issue with multiplayer games.
Fell out of all those games.
It's like if we get on,
because you guys would invite us and be like,
especially Rob ruins it. Ruins it because we'll all jump on something and be like, all right, we're all leveling up at the same time. Oh, it's nice. All right, see you tomorrow. You get back on tomorrow and he's level 58 and you're still level 8. Like, what the fuck? He's like, yeah, I didn't go to sleep. Oh my god, dude.
He's a hardcore gamer, dog.
Hardcore. But yeah,
man. But
Jay, what makes a good multiplayer game? To you.
Well, I would have to. I would have to agree with Adam, really, on everything he said. I mean, as long as if you got good servers, you have great connection, good people that you're playing with.
Be mindful. Be mindful that when I say multiplayer, I'm not talking about just games like Fortnite or like Overwatch. I'm talking about like it can be co-op too. Co-op is multiplayer.
Talking about
like
co-op,
co-op
we need
style.
drop in, drop out.
I'm gonna get to that point.
If it's something like that,
that's
then,
something I'm passionate about.
If it's something like that, as long as it's not really affecting me, like if I'm playing a game and then it stops me, like I'm into it and everything, I'm about to do something, it's like, oh, this person is joining, and I'm stuck, like, oh shit, I gotta wait for them, or every time they leave, as long as I can, like when it's a co-op game, as long as I can keep into the story that, like I stay immersed in it, and I'm having fun, I'm doing my thing, and you jump in, and it kind of doesn't have you clueless either, like, oh shit, what the hell is going on here? And, if it puts you in, and then you're like, okay, yeah, he's over here doing this or whatever, or as long as it doesn't stop it, because most likely co-op is going to be probably like a single player style game.
All right, we're gonna talk about co-op more in depth in a little bit.
Yeah, we never tried out that game that you could only play co-op. I forgot what it was called. Yeah,
the Prison Break one.
We gotta try that.
Yeah, we gotta try that one day. But what makes it?
Which game?
There's what was it called?
Some
it's
EA
a game where like you break out of prison, but you have to play it with another person, and it's just cool. You'll have to Google it one day, YouTube it. But what makes a good multiplayer game to me? First of all, it just has to be fun. Like I know that sounds really general, but just fun. Like can't be. I don't like The Division to me wasn't a fun game. Like I played that beta, and it's like it's not technically a bad game, but do you know what I mean? It felt dry and lifeless. Does that make any sense to you? It just it doesn't. It's not really. It's like something to do. It's challenging and stuff. I'm not saying like it's a terrible game, but it wasn't fun to me. Like it wasn't. And another thing,
I think one of no, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say another.
That game was called A Way Out, by the way.
Oh yeah, A Way Out.
Yep, the name of the game.
But I like one of the things that makes GTA, which I would love GTA to be would make it a little better, is the environments are different when you go from single player to multiplayer. So in GTA, a lot of times you can arm wrestle, and the people will be more lively. You can go in more houses. Same thing with Red Dead Redemption too. Like when you play single player, it was more things you can do, and the area seemed more alive. And especially with GTA 4, like in the story, you could do everything. You could play pool, you could throw darts, you could go into houses, you can go buy stuff.
That's why I was saying, like,
and then when you
single player just has more stuff you can immerse yourself in.
But if you make it more lively, if you make it like now with the new GTA 5, there's more stuff. You can do heists, you can rob a bank together, you can go in places, you can play golf, you can arm wrestle, but it's still not all the way there yet. But I do like one that feels alive. Like that's one of the things that I loved about Fable when we played Fable 3, Jay, was nothing changed.
Right, yeah.
The world was still just as alive when I dropped in.
You jumped in and it was the way it was.
And obviously servers are important, patch issues and stuff like exploits, and just to have a solid game that's not broken, that doesn't have a bunch of exploits and unbalanced like Overwatch. That's something that you.
I think one of my favorite games that I used to play that was multiplayer co-op was Army of Two.
Yeah,
that game was fun.
Yeah, that was a really good game.
Yeah, like you had to rely on the other person. It wasn't like you couldn't. You can't progress or nothing. You can't do anything without the other person. And one person, and it was kind of unbalanced on purpose, where one from each other, which was actually good. Yeah, that was like one of the things that
one person could take the aggro off the other, and you would get more
by the other
attention
person,
on you.
and because they can take more hits and do stuff.
But that's
then another one was Resident Evil 5. I had a lot of fun with Resident Evil 5.
I played that with you, but I didn't really like it. You know why, Adam? You know why I didn't like Resident Evil 5. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. You're supposed to say zombies, Adam.
That's what I'm trying to get you guys on
You're supposed
the
to say
Division
zombies.
and on Wildlands and stuff, because those are multiplayer co-op games.
Adam, are you still with us?
Yeah, I'm back in my quiet mode.
You're researching? He's researching something. But
actually,
Adam knows I don't like zombies.
Yeah,
I know Adam's always looking stuff up and verifying.
Yeah, do you play games like Diablo? Diablo was fun too.
I used to love Diablo until I realized how much of it doesn't matter. It's just a loop. I gotta kill this thing to get the sword, so that I could kill that thing to get a sword, so that I could kill that thing to get a sword.
All right, so I'm gonna go to the next topic. So this is gonna be very interesting. We'll go one at a time. It's a 2-part question again. But your opinion, the best single player game and the best multiplayer game ever. You gotta pick one. Man. The best single player. I think I know what you're gonna pick, Adam. I think I know. I'll see if I'm wrong. But Jay, I'll start with you. The best single player game. You have to pick one. And we're talking about nowadays. I won't put the pressure on you to pick a retro like Mario or something, but something from one of the newer
Jay's
consoles. I'd say
probably.
PlayStation 1 on up.
Okay.
PlayStation 1 on up.
I think that's fair.
Well, then my favorite was Final Fantasy VII.
Okay, that's a good answer. And they're redoing it. They're remastering it.
Single player game from just the one that I still love to this day.
And so you're getting the remaster then, right? Of course.
Oh yes, definitely. Shit, when I got a PlayStation, I brought God of War and Final Fantasy.
Okay,
VII.
what are some honorable mentions other than the best? What are some of the best other than just the one best?
Arkham Asylum was good when it came out.
I will second that.
It's great.
Arkham is good. I just wish I had the attention span to play.
BioShock was good too.
Which one?
BioShock.
The first one?
I think the first ones, 1 and 2. But the first one.
Okay. Anything else?
I never beat the first one.
Both the Darksiders were good. I liked both of them. The one with War and with Death.
Yeah, I'm playing with Darksiders again.
It's so interesting as a non-single player gamer to hear your choices. Did Dark Souls not appeal to you? Like things like that?
I never, for some reason, well, one of the reasons why I didn't play games like Skyrim and stuff like that was because you couldn't go into a third person. You was in first person.
Oh.
And I really don't like that.
Okay.
I don't like that about
in an RPG.
Certain single player games.
This is why you should play The Witcher. The Witcher.
Well, I think we found Adam's answer.
Zelda. It's like Zelda, but or like Fable, but like more grown up and stuff. So I think you'd like it. It has a similar feel to those games.
It's been mentioned.
All right, Adam, your choice for best single player game, is it The Witcher 3? I'm just gonna check.
No. It's actually I don't actually think that game is that good. It's funny. It's because like it's
you should play it.
Yeah. No, it's really good, but people think that it's like the best game of all time. But
yeah, like it's just
it's basically the Jordan LeBron debate. It's like, yeah, it's very good, but you're putting it next to Jordan, it's not, you're hyping it up.
If I had to guess, I think Adam would probably say like, I don't know, like Tomb Raider.
I really like Tomb Raider. I'm thinking.
What's your answer? The anticipation is killing me inside.
If it's one single game,
yes,
it might. It might have to be.
You'll get your honorable mentions too, but you got to pick one. I'm putting the pressure on you.
It might have to be Mass Effect. Then.
Oh yes.
Mass Effect. Yes, Mass Effect is a damn.
I played Mass Effect.
That's going to be my answer already.
I played.
Mass Effect was my second If I had to say, like,
I played Mass
honestly
Effect 1 5 times or something like that through. Like, I played it for
I
every...
still haven't played the first Mass Effect.
I got
I honestly
single
like
achievement in it.
the third Mass Effect most, to be honest. I liked each of them better as
I
we
started
went along.
with the second one,
but that's
and
because...
I liked the second one.
Because
you
of the
didn't-
story,
the
how the
second
Did you
story
beat the
progressed.
story in the third one? You beat
the
the
ending
story
was
in the
kind of
third one?
whack. The ending was kind of
Okay,
whack.
okay. If you
But-
were
Yeah.
gonna tell me that the story in Mass Effect 3 was good,
no.
I was gonna turn this freaking
It was
podcast
okay.
off right
It
now.
was- it was okay, but the ending was bad. But
That
the rest of the
ending
story
was
was
terrible.
all right.
To me, Mass Effect 2, I mean, even though I haven't played Mass Effect 1, but Mass Effect 2, I think that was a good starting point for me.
I mean...
I after playing Mass Effect 3 and Andromeda, just to play it.
We're not gonna mention
Just playing
Andromeda.
it.
We're not gonna.
Mass Effect.
We're gonna leave that one out.
Mass Effect 2 is still my favorite.
I like them
Yeah,
all, man, but I'm more of a. I liked it because of the story. Like I usually like the last thing. Like I'm like that with like Arrow, Flash.
One
and all
of
that.
my favorite things that I love the most about Mass Effect was that you can start off in a story and then go right into the next one, and then right into the next one, without having to just start over. Like you can carry your character through.
I'm still pissed that I
You know?
died. I had to start the new one as the second one as a completely different person because it's just like it's like yeah, you just died. I'm like what? It's like yeah, if you want to not die, you have to actually do stuff, and I'm like fuck that.
You know what I did? I saved the game at a certain point. Like I looked it up and said, if you save at this point, then you can.
I need to start looking stuff up.
Try and make different outcomes, and that's what I did. And I was just
But
I had different
An
endings.
interesting caveat is that Mass Effect is
Well,
not
interesting.
only the only single player game that I played through. I played all three of them, so that tells you how good it is right there.
Yeah.
So, Adam, good choice.
Yeah, Mass Effect is good.
So,
Yeah.
what's
Mass Effect is good.
Adam? I'll start with you. What's the best multiplayer game, in your opinion? I'll keep it to like not co-op.
Say like let's do it like this. Like you do the one and then two mentionables.
Yes.
And then so you do like one and then two mentionables because it's
It
hard
is hard.
to narrow
It is
down
hard,
one.
but
Like,
that's the
Yeah.
point of a podcast. Put you on the spot. Hot take.
I might...
We're not
I
gonna
think
say co-op.
Modern
like, just one,
Warfare.
like,
I think
2?
Modern Warfare is always
first one or second
gonna
one?
like be special to me, just because that was like the one time that we were all online, all playing together, and we would.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous how good we were. Like people
Yeah, I
would
know.
get up and go to the bathroom in the middle of a match and come back and be like, "Oh, I'm still alive." Like, yeah, I held it down for you. You know.
Remember, like Yusuf and somebody, but I've been eating the whole time. I was eating the whole cereal. Like,
57 win
And we
streak.
just remember what I forgot. We
57
did,
win
like,
streak.
remember we did big team battle, right? 57. We wanted to die. We were like,
Yeah, we were
Yeah,
like,
I had-
we'll play,
I had to
we'll-
go to
We'll
school,
play till
man.
we
It's like,
lose.
what's going
We'll
on
play till we
here?
lose, and we're just up like, fuck. It's like 7 in the morning,
we
dude.
had to give up. We were like,
You know what? Remember that last game when we actually lost? We didn't even realize. Like, we were just going through the motions, and it's like, oh, 5 kills left. We're like, oh, shit, we're about to lose. It's like, yeah, well, yeah, fuck it. We lost.
Right.
And people are
We can
falling
go to
asleep.
sleep now.
My-
But would you say, okay, so you say Modern Warfare 2, right, Adam?
And just because it had, it was the one time where everybody was online, we all played together, you know, like now it's hard to get anybody on at the same time, you know.
But that's one of the
And that
arguments
was like
that
when everybody.
multiplayer
It
is
is.
so based on other people creating your experience for you, you know? So it could, if someone
Yeah.
else had a completely different experience with the game, you know?
Yeah, probably.
Okay, so what are some
They
honorable
probably hate
mentions,
it because of the NoobTube exploit or whatever.
Yeah. Honorable mentions, though. What do you?
I guess I'll go 2K. Cause even
Yeah.
though it's so bad,
It's good.
we
It's
play
good
it all
when
the
it
time.
works.
It's so good, but
When it
it's so
works.
bad.
When it works, it's
Yeah, when it
great.
works, it's good.
When it
It's
works the
fun.
way it was
I mean, we
designed to
play it
work.
every day, basically.
Which like 50% of the time it doesn't. Okay, what's your
Yeah.
third one? And we're really gonna fight if you don't say what I think you're gonna say.
Uh-oh. Huh. You know what? I you're probably not gonna think I'm gonna say this, but I gotta go with it. Gears of War.
That's a great choice, but you're gonna leave Red Faction Guerrilla out.
I thought about it, but Gears of War is another game where it's
you put Red Faction Guerrilla over 2K.
Is she?
I mean 2K over
Damn, I
Red
should have.
Faction.
You're right. The only reason is because we still play it. Red Faction was great, but it burned out fast. It burned bright, but it burned out fast. But
Gears was excellent.
Gears of War. It had great multiplayer and it had great co-op, and it was again. I'm thinking about. I guess because I'm thinking about who I played with and stuff, and it's like
R.I.P.
I
to
played
the
that
Gears
with
God, Vincent. Rest in peace.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Like I still haven't beat Gears. I still got to go back to it, but every time I'm about to play it, I think about our last conversation was about he was telling me I had to go play through the story, and that it's so good too. I got to beat it.
He always used to be like, why don't you play Gears?
That's the reason why I brought the game, man. I had to get it.
When the new one got announced at E3, that's like the first thing I thought about was like, I gotta play through that story.
Thought, man,
it used to be so good when he used to just remember we used to play the mode where it was like one life, and then Vince would be the only one left, and it'd be like 1v5, and it's like, they're fucked.
So good.
This is gonna 1v5 these dudes, and he just go through them.
He had that one like shotgun. He would do that back row and come up.
Plus, that's like one of the only games that Ish would play too. It's like one of the games that everybody played.
Another one used to be on.
Okay, so
Ishmael with sniper sliding.
My best multiplayer games, I'm gonna have to go Red Faction Guerrilla as well. I'm not gonna say as the best. Which one did you say? You said Gears?
I said Gears, I said Modern Warfare, and I said...
I don't think I've ever had more fun on a game than Red Faction Guerrilla. Like, that game was so fun. And when you had people online... I
can think of so many other games, too.
Well, I know, but one of the best things about Red Faction was the physics.
Yeah.
You take down... People used to try and hide in buildings.
Well, fuck this building. Fuck that building. You can't camp in here. No camping on this goddamn game.
That game was so good.
I'd have to say second.
I still remember watching you...
Oh, yeah, I remember that. The vision.
Disintegrating the floor for underneath that guy.
yeah, there was a sniper camping. And
people
Adam had the vision pack. I didn't. And I was like, where's this sniper? And he put the vision on. He's like, he's right above you. I'm like, right here? He's like, yeah. And he seen from across the map, I disintegrated the floor and he fell through and I hit him with a hammer.
So good.
But I'd say second, I can't believe you guys forgot about Red Dead Redemption?
No, I thought about them. That's why I said I can think of a lot more.
We'll get into
I'm gonna bring
what
up
we
another
did
one if you guys don't bring it up.
We'll get into that. I'll save that story. You know what story I'm talking about. I'll save that for another podcast. What we did on that game was insane.
The forts. With the
and
forts,
I probably have to go with Modern Warfare 2, man. Like that game was just very good, just all around. It was fun. You could play for a long time. You could play for a short time. So yeah.
Yeah, Modern Warfare 2.
Yeah, and it's emotional attachment too. A lot of people have an emotional attachment.
What about you, Jay?
For multiplayer?
Yep, that's a multiplayer game.
Damn. Let me see. Best multiplayer game. Shit. No, I'll tell you one, and it's probably because of there's emotional attachment to it. But Fusion Frenzy.
Oh my
Fusion
God.
Frenzy was my favorite because me, my sister, Cindy, and my two brothers.
Yeah, you guys used to play that.
Vincent and Brandon.
I played it with you a couple times.
Hardcore.
It was kind of like
That game was so fun. That was for the original.
It was kind of like futuristic Mario Party, right?
Kind of, yeah. But it was fun. It was fun as hell, man. But I have to put Fusion Frenzy in there, and then for mentionables, I have to say Red Faction. and Modern Warfare 2. Yeah, same things. Because,
our answers are interconnected. What a shocker. We all fucking played the same
shit. Now I'm going to mention some so that you guys probably like, oh shit, I can't believe I didn't think about that. Defiance, everybody rolling as a squad.
That was great. That was a great game.
Smash, I can't believe you didn't say Smash, Jay.
Oh yeah, we could have said GoldenEye. Yes. We could have said GoldenEye, Perfect Dark. Really, to be honest though, I'm gonna keep it real with you.
Perfect Dark, I didn't jump on with you guys, but you guys.
No, but I'm saying like on the 64. GoldenEye, I actually.
Yeah,
I think Perfect Dark on 64 was better than GoldenEye. I think GoldenEye is overrated. That's just me. We'll get into that. We can argue about that another day. Go ahead, Adam.
I never played Perfect Dark, so I cannot include myself in that argument. But
Adam was given.
You know, I'm thinking two other games.
Mass Effect. I know we played that shit so much. The multiplayer.
That multiplayer was good.
And I know Jay don't really play fighting games like that, but there's the Mortal Kombat games and the Injustice games. Those are so good.
Street Fighter. I used to play Street Fighter.
Jay used to play Street Fighter, yep.
The older one, the retro ones.
Marvel vs. Capcom.
Tekken. Oh, Marvel vs. Capcom 2 was my game.
That's such a classic. That's a top 20 game of all time, maybe.
Marvel vs. Capcom was
the second one. Okay, so segue into our next topic. Now this is good. This is something that we talked about before, Jay. The topic is no excuse for no multiplayer mode. I know that sounds kind of confusing, but that's my stance. I feel, and this is where we're gonna have tons of disagreement, especially Adam. I feel like there's no excuse to not have multiplayer mode in I'd say 95 or 90, at least 90% of games nowadays, which there is multiplayers and everything. But you, Adam, you know why what I want to have multiplayer in it and it doesn't, and that would be
Arkham.
All the Arkhams. Arkham. Now you guys know my take. If there was any game that should have had multiplayer on it, that should have had a co-op, that was built perfectly, the combat system, the juggling.
Right. And the worst thing for you is when they announcing a game and then they kind of give a hint. Oh, we're thinking about multiplayer or something. You're like, oh my god, and then at the end they just fuck you.
And like, the last Arkham, they straight up said like, we're not even considering it. And I'm just like, how dare you? Like, I was so heated. Like, I was ready. Like, if the next Arkham isn't fucking co-op, doesn't have at least like a co-op element or something, I'm gonna be fucking so pissed because the game is so good. I played it, but I just can't last. Like, I can't. But my take on this. They have a pill for that. My take on when I say there's no excuse for not having multiplayer. What I mean, I don't mean like you have to make it like completely co-op to where you have to change the missions. I don't even mean something like Fable. Like, Jay, we played Fable 3 and you could jump in. I can jump into your world as you're going through it, and I can jump out, and it makes no difference at all. It doesn't affect the story. It doesn't affect the cutscenes. It doesn't affect the world.
I'm kind of surprised you didn't bring up Fable for most favorite multiplayer games, because I know
it was that good.
You loved when they added that.
Yeah, but it was fun, but I wouldn't put it like top. But
I see. I think if any of the Arkham games were gonna have a multiplayer type of thing to it, I think it only could work with a multiplayer code.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is what I'm saying is it doesn't. I don't even feel like it needs to be that. When I say multiplayer, I'm just saying everything. This is my belief. I feel like everything should have some type of multiplayer element, just like everything should have some type of single player element. Like, even if that means in Arkham there's like a horde mode where it's just doesn't even affect anything. It's just a separate horde mode where you just fight waves and waves of guys, and it gets increasingly difficult. You know what I mean? or it could be drop-in co-op.
Right.
It's perfect. You could just pick your character, drop in. Like what I was telling Jay before, Adam, was remember on Halo, on the Halo games, especially I know on the original Xbox, you would go through the cutscenes and it would just show two of you. But, I mean, it would be two of you, but in a cutscene it would only show one of you. You know what I mean? And you're just there. It's like you're not even really there. You're just participating. Like, why would that be so hard to do? Why would that be so hard?
I can't believe nobody mentioned Halo.
Oh, yeah. Fuck. We missed Halo. Halo 3. Oh, my God.
I know.
Wow.
That's another one.
That's got to be top 5. Yeah, that's got to. But, you know, like, it didn't affect anything. So I don't understand what's so difficult about just having something like Arkham, right? You just, if I decide to just drop in, if he decides to invite me, boom, I drop in like Fable. Nothing's affected. Maybe just the difficulty is upped, so it's more harder because you have two people.
Right, which would I expect it to be? Because if it stays,
it wouldn't
the same,
be challenging.
You got two people. It's
but you up the difficulty automatically. Okay, that's cool. And then, but it doesn't affect anything when you see the cutscenes. It's I just don't understand why that's just not the option. And then if you want to play it by yourself, you absolutely can.
Yeah, but have something. Well, I will have to see. I'm gonna have to agree with you because of the way where gaming is at now, especially with cloud gaming and stuff like that. Where it's
what?
Yes, he's on my side.
Every game has to have.
No, because of the way it is. Like before, I can argue hardware and get into software and how like I was saying before, single players look way better than multiplayer games because of the attention to detail and stuff like that. And I can get into, which we'll do on another podcast, and you know the space, like how big a game is. But with cloud gaming and with being able to add extra stuff like DLCs and things like that, adding extra. I don't see, like with Arkham, everything is there. Everything's there. All the elements are there. Extra code to add a person in or something like that. That's not like, it's not like they can't. Like, okay, here's the game. It's a single player. We're gonna add a little co-op to it. You can download a little DLC later. You know what I'm saying? That adds to it or release something that allows you to do that. There's really no reason.
I smell a rebuttal. I smell a rebuttal coming. I can smell it.
Well, actually,
because of the way things.
All right,
are,
Mr. Fact Checker, what do you got?
Well, actually, the real reason is like money. Like, why spend money on something that people aren't gonna use? Like, people are playing Batman because it's a single player game. They want to go through and they want to feel like Batman.
Yeah, they want to be Batman.
And
I disagree.
It's like, for instance, I loved Tomb Raider's multiplayer mode.
Yes,
Tomb Raider 1 had a multiplayer mode.
It was pretty fun.
I really liked that. I think I was in the top 100 at one point.
With the arrows.
Yeah, I was like the top 100 or top 1,000. I can't remember, of the whole world at one point, and I really liked it. It had a lot of
there was no reason for you to say that.
Environmental things.
He just wanted
and stuff.
people to know that he was cold at that game. Like,
no, it's just
by the
like,
way, I was top 100.
No, I mean, like, I played it a lot.
No, it's the whole point that he was on.
I played it a lot, but its community died out really fast.
It did,
because people they didn't want to play that. They didn't want, and
because it's just a for now thing. The whole point of buying Tomb Raider is not for multiplayer.
Yeah. So then when the second one came out, they didn't spend time on it. It's not in there, and as much as I like it, I ain't gonna force a developer to make a game or a mode that nobody's gonna play.
Yeah, I was saying something like that to Greg too. Like, I could argue too that it's a cost issue because you have to have people that are focusing on the single player are not gonna develop multiplayer and single player at the same time. You have to have a whole another group of people focusing on strictly multiplayer, and then sometimes it's just an issue of, I'm not going to spend
and this
money.
This is another talking point I do have. Multiplayer, like gaming as a business, and in terms of multiplayer. And I have some quotes here from the article that that I researched. So we're gonna get into that too, and we'll debate that. But for me, I just don't. Obviously, I'm biased because I like multiplayer, but I just don't see a reason why there shouldn't be. And it's like, to me, I get your argument, Adam. I get your argument, but it's like, if you want, I'm not saying it should take over single player, but if you have the option to play by yourself, and it's like, I can say nobody will join me and I can do this by myself, then what's the harm in just also allowing you, if you do want a companion, if you do like the social aspect, then boom, go ahead.
Well, there could be lots of harm. There could be, in order for this game to be like that, to have drop out, you have to be connected to the internet. So then
you gotta be connected to the internet just to play any game nowadays.
Well, now certain games, but not, but
but single player games are not restricted.
Yeah, they're like single player games. Like, I think it was actually Fable where you would be playing it and then it'd be like saying something about connection issues, and it's like, I'm playing by myself. What the hell do I need? I don't need these floating orbs around.
That's a good point.
Yeah, orb is flying through when you're lagging.
That's a good point.
And then there are tons of games that, they have shoehorned in multiplayer and nobody played it. It failed.
Okay.
Like BioShock 2 or something.
So here's my question.
And that just takes time out of the development of the main game, where the main game could have been made better.
Okay. Here's a question. I understand your point of the connection issue. That's perfectly plausible to me. I'm not going to argue with that.
Well, it's money too. It seems like a waste of money.
All right. I'm not going to argue with you
on that. Or just
time.
Just game development time,
Yeah, money.
But
time.
I do have this question. Can you integrate do you believe can you integrate multiplayer? If we're not talking about
anything,
no. Wait. If we're not talking about money,
I got more examples, bruh.
We're not talking about money. We're not talking about time. We're not talking about a team. I'm talking about just no restrictions.
I got more examples, bro.
Okay, but I'm just asking a question.
Another game.
Wait. Let me ask the question. Let me ask the question.
Go ahead.
Can you and this is if it's just no restrictions, can you integrate a multiplayer game? Well, could you integrate multiplayer into a single player story without affecting the story at all?
I don't think so. Especially anything that brings in humans,
Just co-op, just one other person. You say it's.
But I don't want co-op in anything and everything.
I mean, to me, it's yes and no, because it's like I agree with Adam with as far as no, because if somebody comes in, you no longer have full control of everything. It's like I was saying, the God of War there's no reason why somebody could have came in and played as the son. But if I'm battling and doing shit, trying to kill people to progress, and I turn around and he's shooting arrows against the wall or jumping around doing stupid shit, it kind of messes it all up,
Okay.
But but then again, could it be done just like if there was no budget, was right, everything was cool? There's no reason why.
But I do see your point, though.
I still say no, because there's also, there are games you don't want co-op in. Like, I can't remember. Jay, did you play Alan Wake?
Now, see,
Yeah.
remember
Wake
before.
is
Remember,
amazing.
Adam,
I love that game.
Before I said 90%. I did say 90%, right? I did say there are exceptions of games that should only be single player. I will agree with that. Because if there's like a survival game or something like that where you're just surviving by yourself, okay, I get it. There'll be a couple games like that.
Yeah, exactly.
But something like Arkham doesn't apply,
like I said,
in my opinion.
And we're also, like I said before, we play a lot of combative games, so we think like that. But I'm sure there's somebody out there who's thinking, oh, well, what about my point and click adventure? I don't want co-op in my point and click adventure, especially if it's like a puzzle solving game.
But here's my point.
You're solving the puzzle.
But my
you don't
point
want
is,
people to solve the puzzle for you.
But my point is, I want people to be able to not have any co-op at all if they don't want. That's my point.
Yeah, but then. If it has to have an internet connection or something,
that would have to be in the percentage that he's talking about. That just
into the 90%.
Into the 10%.
Yeah, but why do you even need it?
The 10%,
you know,
that just doesn't.
Because there's people like me that won't play it otherwise. And I know a lot of people like that.
Anyway.
Yeah, you're right. But if they made a multiplayer Tetris to where we could like team up on Tetris, I would do that shit too.
They do have stuff like that.
They do got games
but
like
I'm
that.
talking about, like, I'm thinking about the Telltale games. You know,
it's a competitive
I'm thinking about the Walking
thing.
Dead game where it's basically you choosing dialogue and, you know, picking where the story goes. Like, you don't really want that, and stuff like that only allows for like problems to happen because now I have to be connected to the internet all the time. You know, like they usually use stuff like that.
You said that about 5 times, Adam.
Because if you want to play offline, you know, if you don't, why do you want to? If you're playing a single player game, that's all you're playing it for is the story. Why do you need to be connected to the internet? I'm sure, like, I know PC players are gonna feel this the most. Like, DRM sucks. You know, who wants to have to always have an always online connection? You know, this is one of the big problems with the Xbox One when it first got announced, and why a lot of people didn't buy it, because they were afraid that they were going to need to always be online. You should be the one to think about this too, Greg, because you have the crappiest connection out of all of us. It'd be like, oh man, I got a 1 gigabyte patch for Overwatch. Okay, I guess I'll play with you tomorrow.
Right.
But then at the same time, though, it's not like, you know, with the way Xbox Live has developed. I mean, you what's the point of the Xbox is really nothing without Live. So the whole point is to have Live. So if you're going to have Live all the time so that you can do things and interact with your console, because if you don't have Live, your console is
if you guys couldn't tell
really
we're Xbox players, we're Microsoft people. If you
it's funny that you say that, because you're the biggest single player person. I can play Witcher 3 for 130 hours, and I don't need the internet for that.
Yeah, but I think that's why I'm starting to fall more towards like my Switch. Like I was saying, with my Switch, I'm starting to fall more towards that way with single player, because, you know, it's with me all the time.
Because the Xbox has become your multiplayer machine.
Yeah, he has a device.
But if you needed an internet connection all the time to play your Switch, you wouldn't like that, you know, especially like you're traveling, you know. Who knows?
No, I don't, but when I jump on my Switch, I never even notice it, because I don't have to have.
Because you don't use it for online, really.
Adam always has to ruin stuff with his.
No, I can just go buy.
Adam always has to ruin stuff with his well-constructed arguments.
Yeah, but you know what I'm trying to say though is that the way Live developed, and then we were just talking about that, we're both excited about the whole cloud thing. That if they go into a cloud gaming where it's like, hey, you own a Windows PC, you have all the hardware that's required. Yeah. Why do you need a console?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I'm excited about that. Then I don't have to spend extra money. So the thing is, but there you go. You have to have. What if it means that you have to have Live all the time? That means. Really,
well, it's one of the things.
The whole argument of,
it was one of the reasons that
because you're gonna have it
I was reluctant
to
get the Xbox One to begin with. You know, like I was worried about those licensing things. Just like Ish, right. Mr. Lonely.
I think he likes it better that way, but I digress. All right, so let's segue into this. This is there's only 2 more talking points left.
But see, this goes to show you, I'm the middle person. It's so weird that Jay is the one arguing for connectivity when he mostly plays single player games.
Which is true. But like I said, with the way Live has grown, it's almost to the point where you do not need hardware.
This is also because you're an American.
Are you gonna be online all the time?
You're an American who has
he's
data.
right. If everything moves in the cloud direction, which we all suspect it will, like even it's you're gonna have to have a connection. So there,
and the way our phones are and shit jumping around,
we're always
connected. Okay, like I have
always.
The Xfinity Mobile.
Yeah.
If there's no towers around, I'm hooking up to some type of some Wi-Fi or something from a guest network or something. It's getting to the point where whether you're subscribed, whether it's like free from McDonald's or something, or whether you're subscribed to Comcast, that's eventually gonna or another internet service that's eventually going to be like, oh, no matter where you go, you're covered. It's going to get to that point where the Wi-Fi is just going to be everywhere.
Unplug sometimes. That's
maybe,
the moral of the story.
knows?
Unplug.
I mean,
turn your phone off. Unplug, fellas. Once in a while, just unplug from the world. We're always connected. Always. But look, let me say...
I mean... Even communicating with Greg is a pain in the butt because he doesn't have connections all the time. You know what I mean? And his shit is slow as hell.
Yeah.
Imagine if you had to stream everything, or if there's like Comcast trying to put limits on stuff.
But look, guys.
Man, I can't play a game today because I hit my data cap.
When it comes to that, or it's like I just said, like, my the power went out. I can't. Or, my internet's down. Like, sometimes when the internet's down, I have a tiny variety.
I know. Greg would have never been able to play Mass Effect. Look at that.
Yeah. Guys, I want to get to this next point. I want to get to the next point. We were talking earlier about the business of everything, and I have a question here that says multiplayer to rule all. It is a business. Now, one of the things that me and Jay talked about separately from you, Adam, and I think I talked to you about it too, was
hello.
Yeah. One of the things was that is multiplayer going to, or is it going in a direction? Is the industry going in a direction to where everything will be multiplayer, which is fine with me. I'm happy about that. But it seems like, and I've read conflicting things. I read an article here that I have some of the excerpts from it that some things suggest that it may be that it's harder to make single player games as a developer because what the demand is. If I just did no research and I just had to guess, if I had to just do no research and just had to guess, I would guess that the demand for multiplayer or games just with multiplayer rather than strictly single-player games were going to be way higher. I would assume the multiplayer inclusive ones, the demand for that is way higher than strictly single-player games. And remember, that includes kids. There's 8-year-olds that are on consoles and PCs and stuff now too. And they're most likely going to be all in on multiplayer,
Well, especially with a generation like my son's generation, that's all they know. They don't care. They can care less for single player.
I guess the question I'm asking is multiplayer going to rule the future? Or is there going to be some type of resurgence of single player, or is it going to be just fine?
I think what's happening is that single player just ruled it all, and then with the birth of multiplayer, I think single player is going to take a little bit of the back burner. I don't think it's going nowhere. Like people's like, oh, it's going to be gone. I don't think so. There's always going to be single player games. There's always going to be a demand for it because, it's like there can be only a small percentage of a group of people who like something, and sometimes that's enough to keep something going. So I think single player is going to be there. But I just think it's going to take the back burner for now because multiplayer games and because they're pushing the whole let's get together and play and have fun and people, especially if you look at how Microsoft is going towards, how, you can define the group of people that you want to be around. You don't like trash talkers, then you don't have to deal with them. You don't like people, you want to deal with people that speak more your language. Like, you can actually set it up. Oh, do you want tournament style? Like, they're trying to really push the issue of multiplayer, and as long as they throw money at it, as long as they're developing their own games towards it and stuff, it's going to be whether it's a demand or not, they're gonna keep throwing it at you. So I think single player, multiplayer is gonna
dominate,
go up there. But who knows? In the future, it might flip back around.
Adam, are you still with us?
Say, hey,
yeah, I'm here.
Okay, so I have a quote here that I'm gonna read something from an article, the article that I was referencing, that basically did what we're doing now, juxtapose single player and multiplayer, but it talks about some of the business, and I want you to reply to this and give me your thoughts, and then you too, Jay. But it says, games with a fixed, shortish amount of content are sometimes hits, but it feels like they only get one chance to be successful. Speaking of single player. So this is like if it's a short single player game. But it feels like it only gets one chance to be successful at launch. And if they fall short of some critical mass, they're done for. Replayable games, single or multiplayer, have the chance to build over time through word of mouth and friends seeing them play them on Steam or Xbox Live or PlayStation Network. I guess that's the more consistent trend we're seeing. Replayable stuff has a better chance than finite stuff. That would explain why Skyrim and other big open world games still do great. Single player scores are usually higher because a completely multiplayer experience is dictated by interactions with other people, and that can vary wildly. But in my opinion, that variation is what makes the multiplayer good. But
did you say
that's
where the article was from?
No, I'd have to get you that.
Okay.
I'd have to get, but it's pro single player. It's saying like that certain single player games still have high replay value, like something like Skyrim, because there's a lot of replayability. But something like, let's say, like Uncharted or something, who only has, I don't know how many hours of gameplay that has, but you just go through the story, boom, you beat it once. There's no side quests. I think that's one of the unappealing things about. I'm sorry?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Uncharted does have multiplayer, but I know what you're talking about.
Okay, so yeah, go ahead. You can respond to that.
Okay. Well, I know you guys don't listen to podcasts like I do as much.
I listen to them, but not the same
not
kind.
Not as much and not the same kind. But Phil Spencer was on the Giant Bomb podcast not after E3. Phil Spencer, head of Xbox. And he was talking about, he was talking about how Game Pass has really surprised him, and one of the things he was talking about was how people are going back and playing games. It's giving those games, like you said, they didn't have a chance because something happened at their launch that they got ignored or something. But
yeah, and there's one chance for it.
Yeah,
there's one chance because
they have another. It's giving them other chances. People are going in, and they're like, once a game gets added to Game Pass or something, people are rewatching it. Playing it. And I said rewatching because I was thinking it's the same thing like Netflix or something. Oh, I missed this movie when it came out in theaters, but now it's on Netflix, so now I'm gonna watch it. And then people end up watching that movie, and then they end up watching the next movie, and the one next. Just the same thing is happening with games. He said that he's surprised that so many people were going back and playing old games, and then they were actually buying them, and then their friends were buying them. Like people see, Adam's playing Darksiders. Oh, I heard that was good. He told me about that before. And then Jay goes and he starts playing it too. And then you see that me and Jay are playing it. And then you're like, oh man, everybody's on that Darksiders now. I better, try it out. And it's doing the same thing. They're getting a second chance. It's one of the, maybe in an older business model, but the model's changing, Like, this is one of the things that Game Pass and cloud gaming is going to change.
The social interaction between us as gamers is important in helping single players. So you can't get around the social aspect regardless. You can't.
It's kind of social. Like, we're not playing it together. It's a single player game.
But you see me on it. Why do you see me on it?
Yeah.
Why do you see me play it? Because we're on a network.
Kind of social, the anti-social social.
Which is kind of my whole back burner thing when I was saying that, it's like you're saying, because of the Game Pass, you know, and seeing him playing a single player game like Darksiders, that's like what I was talking about. Even if it remains that people, it becomes word of mouth and stuff like that, and it goes through Game Pass where people are like, oh shoot, yeah, now because I have the pass, I can just jump on it and play it, and if I like it, I like it. If I don't, I don't. And then if they do, they buy it. You know, that's the whole like back burner thing that I was saying. But because that's to me, that's Game Pass is probably going to be a good way of what's a good reason for why it's going to stay alive too. It's like you said, it was a surprise. That's why I think during E3, it really surprised me why a bunch of games that were getting launched were going to be on Game Pass immediately.
All the Microsoft
which I was
games.
like, wow. You know, that's kind of crazy.
I mean,
yeah.
Another
they were on
thing,
Microsoft games, but, you know, I was just really surprised.
That, he talked about, not in this podcast, but in another interview I seen, was how people were talking about, oh, single players dying or something, but he was saying how he wants to use Game Pass like the Netflix model, where, you know, Netflix, people are subscribing to Netflix to watch, I don't know, Friends or reruns or something, but then Netflix takes that money and they subsidize this little sci-fi movie, and the sci-fi movie maybe doesn't get watched by a lot of people, but it gets real high critical acclaim, and people go, oh man, I want to watch that sci-fi movie, so I'm going to subscribe to Netflix. And then they get another movie like that, and it might be another niche, but it's a different niche that other different people are going to subscribe to. And then that's going to get Netflix more money to make more and more games or movies. You know, they're going to have games too, I forgot. To be niches that they're only really for a smaller amount of people, but all the money goes into the same pot. So Phil Spencer was saying how he thinks...
Right. That's why when I said earlier that sometimes, even if it's a small, tiny group, a percentage of people, sometimes that's still enough.
Yeah, so he's saying going. How, like, you know, he might, like, use the Game Pass model to subscribe to subsidize big budget AAA single player games, you know, so they don't need to necessarily fill it with microtransactions or things like that.
Sure, I think
that's a good, you know what, that's a good segue for the last talking point that I had. This was a quote from that same article that I'm referring to, and I don't know offhand. I'll have to look at it, but I just basically copy and paste. So I'd have to look where the article exactly was from. So I don't know how exactly reliable or biased or whatever. But it says it said single player games are not getting funded in 2017. I guess that's when it was written. There is no interest from publishers in funding a single-player only concept. So I'm assuming there's some type of truth to that. But what you're saying, that's a very good counterbalance to... Yeah, because...
The rumor is that they're doing another Fable. Fingers crossed, bro.
But here's the thing, though. That means that there has to be someone in charge that actually just cares about quality single player games more than profit. I mean, do you really want to rely? Is that something you really can rely on?
No, because I'd say that's not accurate either. Because, like, think about the biggest games, right? Some of the biggest games: Witcher 3, Skyrim, Fallout. Those are single player games.
Selling. They sell huge.
Like, when people make them good, they sell. You know, they're
but I think it's so much harder. I would assume, I have no facts on this. Again, I'm the dreamer. I just say stuff. But I would assume that it was so much hard. So it would be so much harder to make a good single player game. How many Skyrims are there now? How many Call of Duties are there? You know, there's a Call of Duty, there's a Battlefield, there's a Medal of Honor, I feel like that's so much easier, and less of a risk, because if you put all that money into a game and then, you know, it just doesn't pan out like Mass Effect Andromeda or something.
But
Yeah, but like the games that he's saying though, those games are
Yeah.
guaranteed to make money.
I don't
You know
know
what I'm
this
saying?
new this
They're
new
already at that
Fallout.
point that
I don't
they
know
dropped
the
them,
multiplayer one. I don't know.
and-
Yeah, but that's a multiplayer one. If it was a single player,
But
if it was a
Fallout is
single
not
player
going to sell.
Fallout, it would
Fallout-
definitely
Yeah,
sell.
Fallout.
There's no
point.
way it's gonna sell.
Yeah, it's going to sell anyway.
See, this is why I
because
like
it's
Adam.
full.
I like Adam
That's what I'm saying.
because
So it's not the multiplayer
And
aspect.
I'll give
to
you
it.
another.
It's just because it's
I'll
a
give you
hard-hitting
another
game
really good
anyway.
argument, right? At least I think so. You tell me.
But Adam, real quick, that's why I like Adam because I can just say wild shit, and then if I'm wrong, he'll just correct me. So it's like, there's no risk. I can just say whatever.
Another argument against what you're saying. Oh, you can make it. It's so easy. Anybody can just throw together whatever. But then that's how you get flooded markets. And this goes back to what we were talking about with the community. We loved Red Faction Guerrilla, but nobody stuck to it. So then everybody went to Call of Duty. Now you just
Yeah,
that
game
game's
hopping.
gone.
I hate that. I do hate
you know,
that.
or you
People
got
game
something
hop.
like PUBG.
It's just like 2K.
and Fortnite. You have PUBG and Fortnite, and everybody's like, yeah, PUBG is gonna be the new hotness. Then Fortnite comes and takes all its players. You know, like
True. It's just like 2K.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, because you have too many people. It's like indie games. You know, like indie games is another good example. Like you have all these people developing, and these are small developers. You have somebody come out with something decent, and then you have 10 more people come out with the same.
Yeah, it's a
exact
copy. Everything is a copycat
thing.
market. The market is always copycat.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, and it floods it. You know, there has to be some control.
Oh yeah,
also
I think
another
I
reason
should
why I
probably
don't
say.
think
You know, so
single
quickly-
player will ever go away is because there's always going to be somebody who wants to make that art house type game where it's black and white and there's no sound and you're a little girl running through a forest or something, you know, and it hits you in the feels.
I know I'm kind
you
of
know?
getting tired of those.
Like
damn
you might
games.
not want to play it, but there's somebody out there that likes that, you know, and who wants their artsy games.
Yeah, I think I should say really quickly. When we say 2K, there's a bunch of 2Ks. So we're talking about NBA. We're talking about NBA 2K.
I didn't even think about that.
Because there's an NHL. I think there's an MLB.
Yeah, who plays that? Who plays that really?
Right.
Yeah. But yeah. 2K is like the same issue with. There's another one that comes right out every year. So once the new 2K19 comes out, 2K18 is done for. It's dead. But it's the same company, so it doesn't really matter. But I'm just saying, it's the same concept though.
Right. You know, it's gonna sell.
Yeah, also that
regardless.
too.
I mean, that's just in that. But like,
You
think
know,
about the MOBA market, right?
Oh yeah,
MOBA, League
Overwatch
of Legends
killed
came out, and
Battleborn.
Dota. Yeah, they come out and then some. You know, like everybody thinks, hey, we're gonna make a MOBA now too. And I played DC Universe MOBA. I really liked it. Flash. I got a whole bunch of screenshots, me murdering everybody. But nobody played it. They're like, why am I going to play this MOBA? Everybody's playing League of Legends. You know, why am I going to play Battleborn? Everybody's playing Overwatch. So it might be easier to make, but you have a lot more people that you got to compete with.
I just remembered something.
Yeah, and on that point, you're jumping on a bandwagon. So it's like, oh, I'm following this. I'm going here. I'm jumping from here, jumping from there. So you can't even enjoy something. You know, like it's like you said. I got DC Universe, but sometimes I just look at it. Like, man, I wish I could jump on and play it, but like I said, nobody's gonna be on the shit, and I'm gonna be the only one.
Adam,
playing
you
the game.
just
So it's
reminded
not
me
even fun.
of one of the lists of your multiplayer games. I can't believe you didn't say Star Wars: Knights of the Old Republic.
For multiplayer or single player?
What wasn't that multiplayer, or was it? What was the?
No, single
Star
player.
I'm
Wars
thinking of.
RPG.
I'm thinking
Knights
of.
Republic.
I'm thinking of what's the other one? No.
You talking about Battlefront? The Star Wars?
No. There is Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic.
What's
which
the
is a
online
single-player
one?
game,
Star
of the
Wars
best-
Online.
One of the best single player games. And then there's Star Wars The Old Republic, I think.
Okay.
Star
yeah.
Wars which is
I know
a
Danny
MMO
plays that.
you can play together.
Danny wanted me to get on that, but I didn't have
Yeah,
a
I
shitty
never
computer.
really. I didn't have a good enough PC.
Well, actually, I did put it on my PC that I had, but I think I think it was that E-Machines I had, Jay. Yo, you had to damn near crank start that motherfucker, man.
Star Wars was so good
Man,
too.
the resolution was so low
I
on
have
that
it on
thing.
my phone right now. Star Wars: Knights of the Old Republic. I have it on my phone right now, but it's hard to play that old combat now.
Would you put that
I
in your
thought about
honorable
it.
mentions of single player?
Yeah,
I
to
thought
me,
about
the
it.
car- the
I
combat
thought about it
system is
before I thought about
important.
Mass Effect as my top game, but I think Mass Effect I could go back and play. Like it's.
Would it make your
combat is
honorable
good.
mentions though, of like top 5 maybe?
Knights of the Old
Yeah, Knights of the Old Republic is one of the best games. I also thought Chrono Trigger, for all you RPG fans out there, Chrono Trigger is one of the best things.
I know. I'm surprised.
I don't even know what
Yeah,
the
when
hell
he
that
said
is.
PS1, the first thing I thought about was Chrono Cross. Jay, one of my best birthday gift ever.
I've heard those names
Chrono
before. You've
Cross,
said them
yeah.
a bunch of times, but I don't know. If they're older, I probably, like I said,
Get
man, my
woke.
mom would not get us anything that
They're
was strictly
older
single
games.
player. She would not get it. So it was
Get
just,
woke.
it was just like Halo. Anything that was 4-player was because it was 4 of us. So once the 64 came out, and then the PlayStation with the what was that little link thing? What was it called? The adapter with you can make it 4 players. Once that came out, it was over. It was like, nope, only 4-player stuff from here on out. So
Yeah, I think the first times I played 4-player games was like at Jay's house with like the 64 and stuff. I have everybody like Smash Brothers. That's one of the first. That's why I was surprised Jay didn't bring up Smash.
I know one of my favorite. Actually, just thinking about it now too. One of my favorite. Well, it's a multiplayer game, but I played it a lot. Single player too. Single player, multiplayer. Was when I got my 360. My first game I got was Fight
yeah.
Night Round 3. I love
you
that
used to be
game.
a beast
Get
at
off
that
the
game
sticks.
too.
I was knocking everybody out.
All right, well, I think
Fight
that's a
Night
good
Round
place to
3.
wrap it up. We got pretty much through all the details of single player versus multiplayer, at least all the stuff that I thought of. So I think that was a good discussion. So
Yeah, I think it was good. I think
Yeah.
we got a little deep at the end. Like,
yeah, we got. Yeah, but
went in at it.
oh, that's it, folks. That's it, folks. We'll see you next time.